Good afternoon. I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
And we're coming to you today with our midday meditation from Isaiah chapter 10, verses 20 through 23.
It shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as have escaped to the house of Jacob will never again depend on him who defeated them, but will depend on the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For through your people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea. A remnant of them will return. The destruction decreed shall overflow with righteousness. For the Lord God of hosts will make a determined end in the midst of all the land.
All right. So, Israel and Judah, they have not yet gone into captivity. This is before that, but the Lord is warning them that this time is coming. But he has a word of hope, not for the generation that's going into captivity, but for what will be future generations. And that is that the remnant and those who have escaped, that they will come back and they will depend on the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. This is the one who is the mighty God. And if you look back over to chapter 9 and verse 6, he is the wonderful, he is the counselor, he is the mighty God. This is talking about Jesus. And so you have, and Jesus is called the Holy One. Oddly enough, in the New Testament, there's two people. One is Nathaniel, and the other is the demons that will acknowledge that Jesus is the Holy One. And then the mighty God. And then verse 22, though your people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea. And this is hearkening back to the promise given to Abram. And the covenant confirmed with Abram. Later on, we know him as Abraham. But God tells him, go out and look at the sky. Number the stars for me real quick if you can, Abraham. Your descendants will be like the stars. Your descendants will be like the sand of the sea. And they were. And he says, but a remnant. And this is a truth that people still miss. What will be saved of Israel? A remnant. And why? Because God is going to bring an end to certain things. He'll make a determined end in the midst of all the land, the Lord God of hosts. And again, this is Jesus. In James chapter 5, he says, cry out to the Lord of Sabaoth. That's the Old Testament. That's the Hebrew for Lord of hosts. So right here in this passage, you have Jesus as the Holy One, you have Jesus as the mighty God, and you have Jesus as Jehovah Elohim Sabaoth. And actually the wording there is Jehovah Adonai Sabaoth, the I am that is the Lord of hosts. And so all these titles, 3-4 titles going on right here, that Jesus was going to come. And this is exactly what happened when Jesus told his apostles, as well as the 70. He says, you go to the lost sheep of the house of what?
Lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Lost sheep of the house of Israel. He confirmed his covenant with them for 3.5 years. In the midst of the week, like Daniel 9 says, he was cut off. Not for himself, but for the transgression of the people. And he made an end of sin and everything else. So, a beautiful passage, a lot going on here. Tyler, do you have any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All right. Well, we bid you good afternoon, and Lord willing, we'll see you tonight for our Twilight Talks on Faith.